Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I will be discussing my favorite TV shows and movies of 2025. I will link my favorites video from 2024 down below. I'm also going to link my most recent wrap up because at the end of that video, I talked about all of my watching stats. So I kind of went through all the TV shows and movies that I watched throughout the year. Like I gathered all the stats and everything for that. I will also link all of the wrap-ups that I did for 2025 if you want to know more about my thoughts on these TV shows and movies. I watched a total of 9 new TV shows in 2025 and 15 new movies. And I have a top 7 for TV shows and a top 3 for movies. I think I'm going to start with the TV shows first, and then we'll go into the movies. If I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at my TV and movie journal so that I can remember all of my thoughts about each TV show and movie. Coming in at number 7 for TV shows is We Were Liars. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. A 17-year-old girl from a wealthy family, Candy Sinclair, spends her summers on a private island. After suffering a terrible accident, she struggles to remember certain events. This is actually based on a book. I read the book by E. Lockhart back in like 2014 and I loved the book. I think I gave the book like 5 out of 5 stars, but it has been over 10 years since I've read the book, so I didn't really remember a lot from the book, but I just remember obviously really enjoying the book. So I was looking forward to the show and I really enjoyed the show. I really liked all of the actors that they picked, like the young cast is really great. I really liked Cadence's grandparents and like her mom and her aunts. I think overall the cast was really great. The show itself, even though like I really enjoyed it, I will say there is a lot of weird transitions, a lot of music. Like the first episode felt like very much scene, music, scene, and it was just very like choppy. I really liked the setting and the vibe of the show. It really made me want to be in summer and like enjoy summer. The first few episodes in the show really build the characters and all of their dynamics, and you really feel bad for like the liars. I did remember the climax of the story, so it didn't completely throw me off, but I just felt so emotionally connected to the characters that I sobbed like a baby. I also really like how they left the last episode kind of with an open ending for a possible season 2, and I do believe it was renewed for season 2. Which is exciting. I probably will end up watching that. But yeah, it was a fun, entertaining, dramatic, emotional TV show. I highly recommend it if you want something that is fun and different, but still like a summery teen show. Coming in at number 6, we have Haunted Hotel. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. A single mom with 2 kids operates a haunted hotel aided by her late brother's ghost who believes they can have ingenuous ideas despite his ethereal state. This was a really random watch for me. I saw it on Netflix and I love comedies. Like those are my favorite type of shows, and I really just wanted something easy to watch, so I decided to put this on and I really liked it. I feel like the show gripped me right away. It was funny, it was interesting. The characters are all very different. I liked the overall plot and the story. Obviously it is a comedy, but there is this small underline of grief, the topic of death, and obviously losing people. I quickly grew to really like the family, and it was like a perfect, cozy, spooky, fun watch for September and October. I believe it was also renewed for a 2nd season, so I will be watching that whenever it comes out. I just really enjoyed this, and I feel like it is something I could put on and just rewatch over and over again. Coming in at number 5, we have the Black Dagger Brotherhood season 1. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. A brotherhood of vampire warriors protect their race from demonic lessers. United by tragedy, the few remaining fighters confront the lessers, striving to restore the vampire realm. I feel like that is kind of the summary for the entire series. However, the first season mainly follows Beth, who is human, or so she thinks. She gets wrapped up in the vampire world when she meets Wrath, who is the like vampire leader, and who was friends with her father. The show is on Passionflix, and it's based on the books by J.R. Ward, which I've read a majority of the books, and I personally love them, and I really enjoyed the show. I think it is one of Passionflix's best projects to date. I feel like they really embraced the world and the characters, and I really liked all of the actors that they picked for the characters. Obviously there were some cringy aspects, like some of the dialogue wasn't the best, but you know, they are copying exact dialogue from the book, so I do appreciate their effort in trying to make it an authentic adaptation, but I just wish they would improve with the dialogue a little bit. Or maybe it's just like the acting and the directing kind of doesn't work with the dialogue or something like that. I just feel like the dialogue never really works for Passionflix adaptations, and I'm trying to figure out why I feel that way. The score and the music overall was really good for the show. The fight scenes were pretty good. Not amazing, but I feel like they're some of the first real like action scenes that Passionflix is doing, so I know that will improve with later seasons. I know they had some like fight sequences for Wicked, but I feel like this is a little bit more than that. The CGI wasn't the best either, but I feel like all of my complaints will improve with each season. I think they do have plans to like at least do possibly 5 seasons, so I know that the show will get better and better as time goes on and the actors get more comfortable with their characters and stuff. But yeah, I still really enjoyed the show. I made a whole video about it if you want to know all of my thoughts. But obviously, like, this is number 5 on my list. I really love the show, and I can definitely see myself rewatching it every once in a while. And I'm personally very, very excited for season 2 and season 3 because book 3 is my favorite. So I'm very excited to see that. And I actually really enjoyed all the actors that they picked for the brothers. I think they're great, and I'm very excited to see them throughout the seasons in the future. Coming in at number 4 is Over the Garden Wall. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. This follows 2 brothers who find themselves lost in a mysterious land and try to find their way back home. This has been on my list to watch for a few years now because so many people say it's like the perfect fall TV show to watch, and I finally watched it and I loved it. I actually got the DVD of it for Christmas, so I can now rewatch it over and over again whenever I want. It's cute, it's cozy, but it's also a little spooky. I love the pumpkin episode. That one is my favorite. I really liked all the voice actors. I think they did a great job. I also really liked the animation style and just like the overall coloring and vibe of the whole show. Each episode was so interesting and unique, and I love how each little plot was resolved every episode, and then like towards the end you finally get the resolve for the entire show, which is great. It was just a really great little animated TV show, and I'm definitely going to rewatch this every fall. Then coming in at number 3 is The Pit Season 1. This I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. The Pit follows the daily lives of healthcare professionals in a Pittsburgh hospital as they juggle personal crises, workplace politics, and the emotional toll of treating critically ill patients, revealing the resistance required in their noble calling. I kept hearing so much about The Pit, so I decided to finally watch it. I think I had started it before like the last 3 or 4 episodes had aired. I just absolutely loved the show. It was so captivating and interesting and intense and heartfelt and heartbreaking. Each episode is an hour into everybody's shift, and there's 15 episodes, so you are with them for like a 15-hour day, which is crazy, and it is so intense the way that the show starts and how it ends. And there's so much that happens throughout the show that you kind of forget everything that was going on, because I feel like the last few episodes kind of stay more in your memory than what happened earlier on. But I loved the writing of the show. I loved the actors and the characters, and I love how you slowly get reveals of everybody's background and like who they are, because you're kind of just like thrust into this workplace, so you're learning about all these characters as the show goes on. Even the actors who played some of the patients and family members, like All of their acting was just fantastic. Like, everybody truly was amazing in this show. I would like cry basically almost after every episode. Also, like, it was so realistic and like so gory. Like, you literally saw everything. It was crazy. I already have like a huge respect for doctors and nurses, but this show definitely showcases how underappreciated they are. It definitely gave me like extra appreciation for them because it is literally hard work, and it's so crazy to think that like this is a show that is not real. It felt so real and so realistic, and at the end of the day I'm like, oh yeah, these are all actors, which is crazy. But yeah, I loved it, and I'm very excited for season 2. I think by the time this video goes out, season 2 will already have started, but I'm very excited to see what happens next. Coming in at number 2 is What We Do in the Shadows season 6. This I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. I feel like I'm cheating a little bit with this one because this show is not new to me. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time, but the last season was done airing and I was waiting until all the episodes were out so I could binge the entire last season, and I did that in January of 2025, and I love this show so much. I can't believe it's over. If you don't know what We Do in the Shadows is about, it basically follows these vampires who live in Staten Island, and they have like this documentary crew that follow them and document their daily lives as vampires. It's super funny, it's super dramatic, it's over the top, but I love this show so much, and I loved season 6. The references to past episodes and past seasons was great. It was kind of like just tying up the whole show in a pretty bow. I also really liked seeing some of the recurring actors and characters from past seasons, like the Baron, the Guide, Sean, the Sire, and all of that. I loved seeing those characters back for season 6 and kind of wrapping up their storylines as well. I just really enjoyed all of the storylines for season 6 with Nandor and the Guide, and with everything going on with Guillermo, the little moments between Nadja and Laszlo's monster. I just thought that this season was so fantastic, and I'm forever going to rewatch the show. It's just so good, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's funny, it's dramatic, and it is the perfect fall watch. So coming in at number 1, my favorite TV show of 2025 was Heated Rivalry. Of course, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm sure you've heard of Heated Rivalry. It is currently everywhere, but if you don't know what it's about, it follows 2 rival hockey stars at the top of their game who face an unexpected challenge when they develop feelings for each other, complicating their careers and the sport's expectations. I read the book and I really enjoyed it, and I believe the first 3 episodes were out when I started the show, and I was immediately obsessed. Like, episode 1, I was all for it. Like, I absolutely loved every minute of the show. I wrote like a million notes in my journal. Like, I have 5 pages worth of notes that I typed out. I basically went over every single episode and like what I loved about each episode, but overall this show is just fantastic. The actors are phenomenal. Hudson Williams and Connor Story are amazing as Shane and Ilya, and they have so much chemistry. I really loved the writing and the directing, and I really loved the music and the score. Visually, it was a beautiful TV show. I loved how faithful it was to the book. It was truly a fantastic adaptation, and I loved how they used pretty much the exact same dialogue as in the book, and it really worked for the show. I feel like the actors were so natural. There were, of course, some like cringy moments and stuff like that, but I just couldn't help but be charmed by this whole show. The sex scenes were intense and graphic, but really well done. There were aspects in the TV show that explored certain things a little bit more than in the book, which I really liked, especially like Ilya's Russian monologue. That's not really in the book. Like, you get that scene, but you don't really know everything that Ilya is saying. And in the show, they showed that scene fully, which was great. Even though I really liked the book, I do think the show kind of elevated certain scenes and certain aspects of the book and just made it feel a little bit more realistic and authentic, which is something I enjoyed. And not obviously to put Rachel down, because I liked her book and it is a very faithful adaptation. So everything that you see on screen is from the book. But I feel like maybe it's because of the actors or just like the way that the story is told via like visually. A lot of it just felt a little bit more like fleshed out and just more intense versus how it felt in the book. But also obviously in the book you get more of like their inner dialogue and exactly what they're thinking, so there is like more context in the book. But I feel like they did such a great job with the show overall. Also, what I love so much about the show is that the actors and everybody involved, like Jacob Tierney, the creator, they care about romance. They are very respectful and understanding. They don't belittle the genre or ridicule it in any way. Like, they're very respectful and they care so much about the characters in the story, and you can really tell how much thought and care goes into their characters and the overall like storytelling of the show. I also can't believe that it took them 37 days to film this entire show. Like, they did it so fast, but it still is such a high quality TV show. There were so many little moments throughout the entire show that I loved, but I will say episode 6, The Cottage, is my favorite episode. I can see myself just rewatching that episode over and over again. If you like look at scenes from the first episode compared to the last episode, the characters do look like they've aged, which is crazy. I don't know how they did that, considering like it only took them a month and a little bit to film the entire show. I don't know how they made the actors look so different. I know the time jumps were a little intense in the first few episodes, but that is exactly how it is in the book. Like, you only really see Shane and Ilya when they are thinking about each other or interacting with one another. The show obviously copied that, but it did make it feel a little bit more like Whiplash in the show versus the book. But I just really, really love this TV show, and I highly recommend it. If you haven't watched it yet, please go watch it. Also read the book if you can get your hands on a copy now. And I am so excited for season 2. I cannot wait. Now for my favorite movies of 2025, like I said, I watched 15 new movies and I have a top 3. So coming in at number 3 is Lick. This I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. Evelyn wakes up in Vegas married to rock star David after blacking out on her 21st birthday. Thrust into his fame, she questions if she can handle his lifestyle as they navigate if their marriage is real or a mistake. This is an adaptation of the book Lick by Kylie Scott, and this is on Passion Flix. This I made a whole video on if you want to know more of my thoughts, but I actually really enjoyed this movie. I reread the book and I didn't love the book as much as I liked the movie. I feel like the movie just really worked. I liked the actors, I liked the directing. Of course, there are some cringy moments, some cringy lines, some cringy acting. It's definitely a Passion Flix movie that I can see myself rewatching. I feel like the actors who play David and Evelyn had a decent amount of chemistry. I really liked the actor who played Mal. He really stood out to me. I thought he was great, and I really hope that they do his story, because I definitely would watch that movie. The score for the movie was really good. I didn't love the soundtrack. Obviously, it's about a band, so they did have to make some music for the movie, and I didn't love the music that the band plays. Even though it's an adaptation of the book, it still felt pretty fast-paced and to the point. The sex scenes weren't as graphic as past Passion Flix projects, which was interesting. They were pretty basic and like to the point, which was good though. It was just a great adaptation and I really liked it. My second favorite movie of 2025 was Scream. This I gave a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm sure I don't have to explain what Scream is about. I'm sure you all know. I feel like I'm one of the last people ever to watch Scream, but it was Friday the 13th and I wanted to watch a scary movie. And Scream has been kind of on my list to watch, and I decided to finally watch it, and I loved it. I did not expect to like it that much just because it is kind of an older movie, and I don't do well with scary movies. Like, I don't ever watch anything that is scary because I live alone and I'm terrified of anything. The plot twists in here were great. I did know like who the killer was. just because this is such an iconic movie that like I knew what happened in the end, but like I didn't really know how everything unfolded, so that was a surprise to me. I also like did not know who died throughout the movie, so that was great too. Like I didn't know that much about this movie, so there were still things that surprised me. And obviously, like, I love the reveal of the killer and stuff. That is just so iconic, and I love that whole sequence. I now understand why people love this movie so much and like why it is so iconic. And I'm not lying to you, this is one of my new favorite movies of all time. Like, I have rewatched it since. All of the actors in this movie were just fantastic. I also really like how this movie kind of poked fun at horror movies and the horror genre and pop culture things, which was fun. Those did feel like a little dated, but it was fun to see some of those moments. But I'm so happy I finally watched this movie and I loved it. Coming in at number 1, my favorite movie of 2025 was My Fault London. This I gave 5 out of 5 stars. An 18-year-old girl moves from America to London with her mother and wealthy stepfather. When she meets her stepbrother, an attraction sparks despite their efforts. Her estranged father also tracks her down after his release from prison. This is also like a reboot slash like English version of My Fault, which was a Spanish movie on Prime Video. I did watch the Spanish version when that came out and I actually really enjoyed it, and I have read the first book in this series, and I was a little hesitant about them doing kind of like a reboot already. However, I loved the reboot more than the original movie, which is crazy. I feel like that never happens, but I loved this movie. And I know giving it 5 out of 5 stars is crazy because it's nothing super special or unique, but there is something about this movie that I loved. I could not stop thinking about it. I thought the actors did a really good job. I thought the directors did an amazing job. I loved the screenplay. Like, it is similar, obviously, to the original movie, but there are changes, and I think the changes worked very, very well. This movie felt a lot more realistic than the original movie. I'm also not one to like pit the movies against each other or the actors against each other. I feel like the actors in the Spanish version did a really good job, and I loved them in that version, but I just enjoyed this movie more. And I think honestly, because so many women were involved with this creation, we had 2 women directors, we had a woman screenwriter, and I just feel like they really understood more of the romance story and they just made it feel more realistic. Whereas I believe the Spanish version was directed by a man and written by a man, so it's obviously going to have a different feel when you are looking at it through like a woman's point of view. Yeah, the directing and the cinematography was amazing. I also really liked the soundtrack. Matthew, is it Broom, I think? And Asha Banks were fantastic as Nick and Noah. I was kind of unsure about them at first, but I thought they did such a great job and they had insane chemistry. Their chemistry really sold me on this movie. I feel like it was also a little bit more realistic of Nick being more of like a bad boy in this movie and like actually having like troubles. Also, the climax of the story was way more intense than the original movie. Like, it just felt more intense and more dramatic. It felt like there was more on the line. I really loved Nick and Noah in this version. They were just great, and I loved them as like separate characters, but I also really loved them together, obviously, and I just loved their romance. Like, their romance was so good, and you kind of forget that they are technically step siblings. I like how Nick was so down bad for Noah, like the minute he met her. I'm like trying to think about like why I loved this movie so much. The yearning that Nick does for Noah, chef's kiss. Like, that is, I think, what I loved about this movie so much is the yearning and how like forbidden it is. I love this movie so much. I have rewatched it multiple times. It's such a great movie. If you want like a fun new adult kind of romance that is dramatic but entertaining, highly recommend. I'm so excited for the sequel. I hope that it does not disappoint me. So those were all my favorite TV shows and movies of 2025. Let me know if you've seen any of the TV shows and movies that I talked about and what you think about them. Or let me know what your favorite TV shows and movies of 2025 were. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.